And opponent going for d4. We're gonna be going for the King's Indian then defense, and we couldn't make King's Indian video without running into the London system. So gonna be showing you one of the perks of actually having delayed knight f6, which is like really useful against the London, because we could be getting versions where we can go for like a quick f5 push. But first of all, we get the pawn in the center, and then we have ideas like knight h6 or going f5 directly, kind of like knight h6, prioritizing development, and then we could potentially go for f5. Even knight f5 now becomes a threat because we're winning the London bishop, and on d5 we take this way, and knight f5 is coming on the next move. Taking by him I think was fine, but allowing us to play knight f5 should definitely be maybe already slightly better for black, because that is literally their most important piece, and once we can easily get rid of that in this fashion, it's an easy game. And knight d5, not really threatening much, can just play c6, which is a super useful move for us anyways, and we also get to push the knight back. And I could actually take and castle next, but I'm gonna be delaying knight takes on g3 because I can play it whenever I want to. So if I do it immediately, he will get ideas to play on the open file. So I'll just do this, waiting for him to castle and then take on g3. It's not like a disaster if I take now and he gets the open file against my king. That is still very much under control. It's just that it's a little bit unnecessary to allow, and looks like he's preparing long castle, and in that regard queen e7 would be really useful, because after castle he has a threat of maybe bishop e5 and my pieces are hanging. So this looks pretty useful, and I'll have to just push my pawns. b5 a5, e4 is not like an amazing move. Could definitely take, could start with bishop h6 and then take, could play knight d4, could play knight d6 is not a great move because the knight doesn't have that much potential there. But knight d4 looks definitely fine because he can't really take it, as the pawn on e4 will maybe drop. But like also the positional approach might actually be best, and just play knight c5, activate a knight. Could also start with a5, grabbing some space, and then if he plays a4 then the b4 squad is weaker. Get knight c5, and typical maneuver for this structure would be to do something like this and get a knight to d4. Opponent is actually tempting me to play like b5, but I think starting out knight c5 is just fine with this move. It's gonna be like really taking a while for him to get an attack, and I can literally stop his whole attack by going h5, and as long as I'm not blundering the g6 pawn because of the pin, I should be good to go. Just go for the pin now, perhaps. This looks pretty annoying for him, and yeah, could go b5 and then 96 94. That looks very annoying. And against rook to h4, we won't retreat the bishop but just defend it with h5. That was the main point, and this is gonna be getting played on the next move, and I think we can just go for our own initiative on the queen side. Idea is to play maybe b4 next, a4. Goes for the little exchange sack, but doesn't really have enough pieces there. We're attacking the knight, can take the bishop. I'm gonna be like up a rook at this point, which is way too much material for the kind of threats opponent is trying to have, but in fact he has no threats. So just gonna go rook d8, expecting queen h3. I'll play like queen g5 maybe, or knight c4. I think queen e6 is a nice move, forcing queens off, or queen e2. There's like no checkmate actually with the bishop on the fianchetto, so not worried about that at all. And on queen there, yeah, as I was saying, this looked pretty annoying for my opponent. That's only one check. We can safely play king f8, and There's no way for him to continue. Knight is under a big threat, and if he plays rook d1, we might have ideas to sack and then go rook d8. Problem is he's got f4. So against that rook d1 move, maybe we have bishop h6, queen h8, king e7 looks actually winning, so he probably is forced to go f4, but that still looks very shady for my opponent. Yeah, rook d1 as expected. How about we go YOLO, but I actually blundered. Wait, might be a brilliant blunder because we're trapping the queen. This is pretty funny. So this was actually the 300 IQ blunder that we did. I mean, I actually seen a similar idea before, but wasn't expecting it's gonna work out so precisely. And now looks like the queen is actually getting trapped. Opponent could actually go f4 and sort of win something back, but yeah, he actually manages to find it. And yeah, we'll have to just go for this version, and instead of being up a full rook, we're only up the exchange, which is still completely winning, but we have definitely complicated things a bit. This I think is most precise because on knight c4, pawn will be defended on e5. And yeah, just like collect g3, goes knight f3 instead. We can just bring the knight over. Okay, he wins the e5 pawn. I actually really butchered this game. This is something that I'm not actually proud of, but yeah, we can just stay like that, have an extra exchange, which should still be putting us in like a pretty sweet spot, and just threatening to collect his pawns. Knight d5 looks a bit scary, but not sure he actually has any threats, and instead of going for greediness, might be better to do this and that, and then take. Knight on e6 is kind of good because it's covering his check, and yeah, rook on h2 looks amazing now. If he could get like the rook to the back rank and support the knight with e5, he's gonna have mating ideas, but not gonna be that easy though for my opponent. But you should never really complicate it to this level when you're up full rook like I was. But yeah, I guess I kinda relaxed there a bit. Okay, knight d8, idea to trade. I think you can just go for that, and king e7, and that wins a piece as far as I can see. Going for the double attack. Remember, the king is an attacking piece in the endgame. So yeah, opponent did us a little favor and made the job a little bit easier. But I think the way this game started was definitely very much in control for us. And remember that knight h6, knight f5 idea that you can use against the London, because it's pretty effective, just completely shutting down the London bishop. And yeah, now with the extra rook, it should pretty much be a walk in the park if we don't start like running for no reason. So I'm gonna take on g2, threatening to mate in 1, which opponent avoids, showing his ambitions for this game, and we'll try to get a new queen in the meantime. Play g4, g3, rook c2, game, just take stuff. King d1, rook a2 wins, and king b1. Yeah, there's no way to stop mate now. e5, king e6, no checks. Either this or that is gonna be checkmate next. Yeah, and we managed to get this one in. Opponent opens up with d4, gonna be going for the King's Indian. Depending on what he does, we will be picking a setup. I guess we're just gonna be going for the sort of classical King's Indian, and we are up against the fianchetto variation. So there are many ways of doing this. You can play c6, you can play knight c6, you can play knight b d7. I haven't really decided on what should we, I mean, you can also play c5. So I haven't really decided what should we focus on during this series, but okay, I think I'm gonna go for a bit of a sideline, which might actually be pretty funny in a way. It's not like the greatest line of all time, but it can be pretty annoying for some less experienced players. Let's just put it that way. So looks like I'm just randomly developing the queen. I actually have an idea. And the point was to actually go for this sort of queen maneuver. Idea to play bishop h3 next and could be getting an attack someday, but mainly shutting down white's powerful bishop. That is the point behind it. I used to actually play that long time ago. It was not like an amazing line. I haven't really studied it recently. Would actually be pretty funny to see what Lila thinks about this line. But okay, I mean, the way opponent played, I think we should be okay. But there are some more critical lines, to say the least, where I'm not sure this is working so well, but it's definitely like playable. I think worst case scenario, you're like slightly worse, but no more than that. And just go bishop h3, plays knight g5, forcing me to trade, and I think we actually are okay, not winning a piece, but he's forced to go back. Hitting h2, threatening knight e3, and attacking the g5 knight. So this is only move, but winning the dark squared bishop is actually pretty important. Strategical achievement, and after that, you can definitely play like knight e7 and break with e5 with what I think is a slightly better position. Okay, knight h3 is also fine, but a bit unnecessary. Could do knight d7 as well. It's not like the bishop is running anywhere as far as I can see, because the d4 pawn is dropping if they move the bishop, and still you can't play knight f4 because of queen h2. So that's why I'm saying we don't need to rush with this move, and we just go takes now, or start with e5 and like pawn takes knight e3 and then knight takes e5 might be the most accurate way to do it, even though taking on e3 before was also very playable. Okay, so we see pawn takes on e5, gonna be taking on e3, collecting the important bishop and creating double isolated pawns, which are amazing for us, not for my opponent. These are huge weakness, and with my last move I'm actually attacking the c4 pawn, in case he's planning to grab this one. And we might also have ideas to go there, attacking the e3 square. So I think we definitely have a very promising position, and against that move I've actually had in mind to just drop back to h6, even though the queen doesn't seem to be the most active piece ever. The fact that we have so many weaknesses to play for, it's completely balancing that. And double attack has to play back to d3. We can just go rook a e8, reinforcing the knight takes on e3 threat, and we should be doing pretty well. I don't really get the point of that move, to be honest, because everything is hanging, and I think we're gonna be winning the jackpot with knight takes on e3 and collecting the enemy queen on the next move. Pretty much no counterplay for my opponent. Yeah, just taking with a bishop, I guess, to attack the rook, but anything wins at this point with the extra queen. Cashing in the rook, attacking this guy on f1, and against knight f7, gonna be threatening mate in 1, which is always nice, I guess. Against rook g1, yeah, just gonna be collecting the knight, rook d8, rook d1, queen g2 mate. We can literally pre-move that. Okay, opponent resigned, didn't allow the BM, too bad. Thanks a lot for making it this far into the video. And in case you're looking for more episodes from the same series, make sure to click one of the videos that will appear on the screen. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you around on the channel. Take care.